Hi, everybody. This is Michael Quantz with the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts with a special edition of Brownsville Matters. Our guest today is Mr. Jorge Garza, who is one of the peak and rare people that is investing in developing radio stations all over the country. And he's here to tell us a little bit about his story. And just a quick preface, Jorge and his company is responsible for all of this fine equipment that we see here for our Brownsville Matters podcasts. He was the person who shepherded us to get the best of the equipment through a wonderful grant that we received through the BCIC here in Brownsville, Texas. And Jorge, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
So what got you into radio of all things?
Well, I grew up in Houston, Texas, and I grew up in the 80s, of course. I'm a Gen X, kid, but I sort of, grew up with the early adoption of computers, the Apple computer, the Commodore 64 computers.
Oh, two floppy drives.
Oh, yeah, 2 floppy drives and a cassette drive. Remember that? But what really got me interested was this movie called, you probably seen it, called War Games. And it was about a young hacker that hacked, and he went into a government computer, and he was trying to play a game. And he started a simulation, was a nuclear attack simulation, and the computer, thought it was real, and the government, got on alert, and they went to DEFCON 1, and I always thought it was real interesting how this kid was able to log into a computer in the government and do all this. So, I started doing trying to do my own hacking and trying to better myself.
Not into the
government. Just whatever I could. Back in the 80s, there wasn't a lot of stuff to hack, anyways. But so that's I dipped my toes into the computer world there. So ever since I pursued the computer science and went to college and got my degree in IT, in information systems, business computers, and networking. So, fast forward, I end up here living in the Valley, and there's a station that's doing a conversion from analog, from reel-to-reel tapes, cassettes, wow, CDs, to this digital system, right? And this digital system needs a network. So here I come, and they ask me, hey, is this something you can do? And I go, yes, of course. That's what I do. It's networking. So I started this networking project and started to upgrade all their systems from cards to computers, and I started seeing the audio part. And I was actually also involved very heavily in the audio as a DJ. I was sort of a hobby that I used to do. I was a DJ, used to do parties, quinceañeras, things like that. So I was like, wow, there's this radio station, and now it's implemented networking into their studios. So, and then I love audio, and I was consumed by it. I was amazed, and within a year or two, they loved the work I did, and they offered me a job. So that was back in '98, I believe, and close to the Y2K stuff.
Yeah.
And I took it. I left. I was working at a government agency and in IT, and I took it, and I'm glad I did, because it's been a roller coaster, hell of a ride. I've learned so much and had so much fun. And got to be behind the microphone too for a couple of years. I was a DJ at one of the shows there, and it was actually the first show they ever did regarding computers. It was called Computación al Aire. Oh. It was back in 2000, and people would call in, and if they had any tech questions, I would answer them. And
so it was an informational show?
Yeah, it was an informational show.
Oh, that's cool.
It was on Sundays at 10 a.m. back in the day, they would call in and say, hey, you know what? Well, I have, this, I can't log in. I have this issue. My modem's not working, back when we had modems.
Right.
So, we would sort of give advice, technical tips, how to improve your systems, gaming software, everything. It was fun. It was just very time consuming because you had to do a lot of prepping. And so, I was on the air for about 6 months, I believe. And we went on to do other projects, but it was an experience. So, since 1998, did the Y2K project for them too, and later on that company got bought out by a bigger company. I don't know if I can say it was Univision. So, and from there it was they expanded from having a small cluster of stations to over 70 stations. So, I was involved in a lot of the conversion projects from the analog, from the tapes, to the digital. Right
around the late 90s to early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yes. And I was, I'm proud to say that one of the stations in the Valley was the first station in the country to convert from an analog to a network audio over IP system back in 2003. And that was sort of an experimental system that we implemented, which is what you guys now have here and what most stations have now.
Right.
And that was over 20 years ago. Wow, it's been a while. So.
Yeah, and that allows the stations to actually broadcast online.
Yes, it allows to broadcast online. It allows a lot of flexibility, less cabling. You can remotely do a lot of these things. You can remotely control the audio, the computers. So, it expanded the way people work. You can work from home. You can record things, put them on the air remotely. So, you guys do a lot of that stuff already here. Right. But 20 years ago, it was
brand new.
Yeah, and some stations are just adapting it too. So they're jumping on it. So we were the early adopters, and I was blessed to have gone through that experience. And I traveled to, I was telling you, to Argentina, and I helped ESPN implement those systems too there.
Wow.
I was in Acapulco. We helped a couple of stations in Acapulco. And all over the U.S. I've been.
So your markets, you work in the largest radio markets that there are now, right?
Yes.
You've got Houston, New York, Miami.
We have Miami. We have Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. We have stations in L.A. Yeah, Chicago, Fresno, and of course the biggest one is the Valley.
Oh, of course. Well, KXIQ 105.1 is the one, right?
Yeah. So, but it's been a hell of a ride, and I love it. It's I don't think if I went back, I would still choose the same thing to do. So
yeah, you just got bit by the bug.
Yeah,
and you just said, "Wow, this is really cool. I'd love to do this." Yeah, what a blessing that is. What a great opportunity to be able to get hit by something in such a positive way and have the opportunity to just dive in and be extraordinarily successful as you are.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so what are the things now that radio stations are looking at? Is there a continual upgrade to different types of equipment, or has the ability, as you kind of mentioned, that is created by this new equipment, by being online, by being able to do remote stuff on your phone, is that changing things any?
Yeah, over the past 15, 20 years, there's been several technologies that have developed. One of them is HD radio. It's same as the television. You have your HD channel, which is high quality definition, 4K, 1080p, whatever it is, and it gives you a better picture. Well, in HD radio, it's the same concept. It gives you better quality audio, plus it also gives you additional channels to put programming on. So it'll virtually turn one channel into possibly four. So, you can have multiple channels. The more channels you have, the less quality you have. So you can have maybe, one high quality channel and then two, lower quality channels. But what primarily it's used for is you can have maybe music on one channel, and then the other ones you can have
you diversify
weather.
your
You
content.
can have, voice just only, so. And it sort of came into in the last, 15 years, 20 years. A lot of the stations have been adopting HD, but it all, boils down to the receivers. You have to have an HD receiver in your vehicle to receive it. So, and you can also see the little logo on the receiver says HD, or and if your vehicle is, within the last 5 or 10 years, I think maybe 90% of them have the HD receiver on.
Oh, yeah. So anything produced, any radio in your car,
yes,
probably already going to have that capacity.
Most of them have it. Yes, most of them have it. The newer vehicles, and if you have it, you're gonna notice it has an HD channel. You don't actually have to do anything when you put the station on. If the station is transmitting on HD,
it'll automatically
lock onto the HD signal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and if the HD is set up properly for the station, you're gonna be, there's two signals, your analog and your digital signal, and those are, whichever the strongest signal is available, that's the one that's gonna use. So if your HD signal is strong enough, you'll capture the HD. If you go through a tunnel, you go somewhere where it's not as strong, it'll switch over to the analog, but they're synchronized, so you won't be able to hear the difference.
Right,
you might hear
right.
a little slight difference in the audio quality.
Tiny bit.
Yeah. But you won't notice any difference. Now
it's all automated.
All automated. Now,
That's crazy.
Yeah, if the station is not set up properly, there's a slight delay, about 7 or 8 seconds. You might hear it because some stations do not like that delay.
Right.
So you'll hear the audio delayed on the analog, and you'll say, "Well, what's happening? Why is it repeating it?"
It's just the delay.
Yeah,
it's a latency basically between signals.
Yeah, and that delay is not it's in the HD system because of all the processing and everything.
Yeah,
so
mini computer just for the radio station.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's encoding and decoding it.
So that kind of begs the next question. How do you think AI is changing programming, the marketing, how radio stations are run?
That's interesting because every year, and for the past, 3 or 4 years, that's sort of been the up and coming. What's going to happen with AI. Honestly, I haven't seen one single system that stands out that has made night and day difference in broadcast and radio. It's just a little bit of everything. Like one example is script writing, and it's the same as doing an essay, is doing these things. So one of these systems is that if you're a script writer, which a station usually has, especially a big company, they usually have one or two or many script writers. So a salesperson wants to sell an ad somewhere, and they give keywords to the scriptwriter. It's a dealership, it's a special, it's Saturday and Sunday only, just all these keywords. So the scriptwriter will write this in Spanish or in English, make it more or less 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever the spot wants to be. He'll send this version to an account executive. If they like it, they say, okay, I like it, let's record it. The AE will send it off to a DJ, record it. They'll send the spec spot back, a sample.
There's this whole process.
All this process.
Yeah.
And then the AE says, okay, yeah, I like it. Just, put different background music.
You'll
this
get
or
notes.
That. Yeah, you'll get notes. So all this, takes time. It might take a couple of days to maybe a week, depending on.
For a 1 minute spot.
For a 1 minute spot. So, then after all these changes are made, you get the final spot. The AE approves it, goes on the air. So now this AI comes into play, and this AI system is basically a prompt, and it's specialized in doing spots. So you have to input, your prompts. How long do you want the spot? 60 seconds, 30 seconds. Okay, keywords. So what type is it? Is it dealership, special, Saturday and Sunday, dates? Okay, what type of voice you want to use? Female voice, Spanish, English, the tempo. How is it? You want it fast, aggressive, mellow? So you input all these prompts, you enter this data.
Which takes 10, 15 minutes.
Even less, if you already have it, and it spits out, 3 or 4 different versions of a script. And you say, okay, well, you can always modify the script, change anything you don't like. Then after you're done with that, you can say, okay, record it, and they'll record the voice for you. So once you get that back, which is seconds later, it takes 10, 15 seconds, you can listen to it and then say, okay, I like this voice. Now I just need the background music. So you go and select just little clips, a library that's on the same system, and you select your background music, put it on there, and then it'll spit you out a spot. And that spot is ready to air. If you like it, you just click OK, download, and
and whatever format that you want it, and then you just input it into the programming, and it's on the air.
You upload it, and that that can take a couple of minutes, or
so the whole process, you've gone from at least a day, with at least 3 other points of process to review that product, from the creator to the editor to corporate to the person you're marketing for, to somebody going into the program and doing all of this within an hour.
Yeah, and you have basically 3 different people working. You have a script writer, you have the account executive, and you have the DJ, which is the voice, right?
Right.
So the account executive can do this without the script writer and the DJ.
We just shouldn't tell them that.
We don't want to tell them
no.
that. But the cool thing about it is, too, there's other things you can do is, if you have a DJ voice, which you love, and it's a well-known voice, that DJ, if he's busy doing other stuff, he can lay down his voice, and the AI would do it with the likeness of his voice.
Wow.
So it's like, wow, we can, so you can do, a cartoon voice, you can do anything. Other things come into play, like copyrights and things like that.
Right. I was just thinking that might be a boon to voiceover folks who, if they are savvy enough, right into their contract, you can sample my voice. You can get that into your AI programming for these marketing things. But every time you use it, you pay me the going rate.
Yeah.
And that actually is almost the same as passive income for the voiceover people. Well, as long as it's identified somehow.
Yeah,
that might be okay for everybody concerned.
Yes, and I think that's it's an opportunity for people that, like you said, that have a recognized personality, voice, and hey, I don't have the time to be recording spots all over the country. I'll have I'll put down my voice and the AI and collect royalties on my voice.
Right. That's amazing.
So, but that's one of the things that's changing the industry right now, and this is just recently it just became usable. Last year we looked at it; it wasn't usable. The AI,
too much slop.
Yes, and the voice did sound a little robotic, monotone. But now it's like it's learning so fast that it can you can't tell the difference. I mean, 99% of the people don't tell the difference between an AI voice if it's done properly. It's amazing. So, and it's slowly getting into the industry. That's one of the ways it's getting into the broadcast industry, and it goes everywhere. They can use that same audio for a TV spot. You can use it online, in social media. So it's amazing what we can do now that we couldn't do even like 2-3 years ago. We couldn't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
We've been thinking about approaching John Cena for.
Oh yeah, he's on there.
I know.
Yeah, he's on there. I think he's on the co-pilot one.
In your experience around the country, do you find that the idea that marketing and programming, especially programming, tends to be overwhelmingly local still for radio stations, or is there like a change in the market for programming at different radio stations?
You know, and this has always been an ongoing conversation, especially with the big companies. You know, big companies are always about, you know, cutting costs, reducing, making it more efficient. So they usually syndicate their programming. They have one show, multiple markets. What we come to find out is that the local aspect of it, you know, it's very crucial to programming. So yes, we want, you know, well-known, voices, but people also want local people, people they know, they can trust. And we've found out that, you know, if you do you change to a local program to somebody that's syndicated, it's very difficult to retain that audience. You may get new audience, but you're not gonna keep the same audience because they're looking for that local, you know, that local feel. And a lot of these DJs here or personalities, people know them. I mean, you may think they don't.
Community.
Yeah. Now with social media, they know their faces. So, you know, back 20, 30 years ago, you couldn't know a DJ because unless they presented themselves somewhere. And
unless it was Wolfman Jack.
Yeah, Wolfman Jack. There you go. But it's very important to keep the local. You know, and I don't think there's any way around that there's no recipe that will make a station successful if they only run syndicated shows all the time and it's, you know, they don't have any local content. Because, you know, ultimately you want to learn what's going around in your community. You want to, you know, and having so many choices now that if you want to listen to music, I don't need to listen to radio. I can have my own playlist.
Yeah.
But if I want to know what's going on, you know, what's happening in my community, then, you know, radio is a big part of that, especially in the vehicle. You know, you can't see, you can't watch anything. You have to listen. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of the magic of radio. When I was a kid, I did some sailing around the Gulf and along the Texas Gulf Coast. And, you know, we had our radio. You have to have a radio.
Yeah.
It's a safety thing, right? And we would, depending upon where we were, be able to pick up CBS Radio Theater.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, if you were moored someplace or anchored someplace, and that would just take you to a completely different spot. And it's almost a magical kind of process when you're listening to an audio play, a radio theater thing, that it sparks your imagination in a way that's completely unique.
Yes.
And you live it both from the outside and the inside when you're listening to that. And I just read about the sad news about CBS Radio. Last week, they went off the air.
Oh, wow.
After, I don't know, I think they started in the 20s.
Yeah.
I mean, 100 years
Early
ago,
adoption.
20s.
Yeah.
And it just made me really sad that people won't have the opportunity to experience the way they did it. And the way they did it was totally professional, completely magical, down to the Foley guy making the sound effects of horse hooves and smacking a ham for a punch.
Thunder.
Thunder, right. And are there still any of those things left in the market, or?
You know, not in the big corporations. I haven't seen anything. I've seen some local owned stations that, you know, have taken on that, you know, programming sort of template that they do everything manually. They take pride into it, but it's very difficult. And I think I've seen some stations trying to revive that. There was a station in Matamoros that I visited about 10 or 15 years ago that had the actual theater, like from the 40s and 50s, where the artists will show up, and there was an audience there, and they were live.
Right.
And I said, wow, that would be a great idea to actually revive that. Have the audience come in and intermingle with the artist, and be on live.
A monthly show.
Yeah, and I'm positive that there's some stations in the U.S. that are doing it, but I don't think they're doing it at the level that they were before. And we've lost that, and I think that's something that stations need to go back to so they can regain their audience. Especially now that there's so many options that you can listen to, you can do, and it's I think going back to the original recipe might be a good thing, So
it seems to have a totally different quality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It has a warmth, and it has a presence of just people being together.
Yeah.
And having the show done in a theater is just a brilliant thing because the audience is experiencing it as it's being produced, and the artists are experiencing reaction from the audience, and that just enhances everything. It's a really cool thing that hopefully can be rekindled in different spots.
Yes, and one of the things we've been thinking is something similar to that, and we've done some limited, sort of live concerts and in venues, but I think when you do it on a regular basis, that's when it has the most impact, because maybe, yes, you do a contest, you do, a live show somewhere else, and you do it live on the radio, but, once that is done and over with, and, people forget about it. But if you have something that's scheduled every single week, I think,
you develop a connection to people,
with
and
people,
it's an audience that becomes regular.
You get, there's a regular audience. There you go. Yeah. Just like any other thing, you might have your, several people that always show up and they enjoy it, and that's something that sort of what you do here with your podcast, that you can record them and then store them, and then that's something that our kids someday can enjoy. So I know I see some of these recordings from the 40s and 50s, and they're online, and it's we have to go back to our history and see, what worked then, and it'll
still work.
It'll
totally still work. You look at those videos online, originally on film, right? Yeah. And you watch the excitement, like a great character to watch is Bob Hope.
Yeah.
When he was doing radio, they were having such a blast. Yeah. And then more recently, up through the 90s and early 2000s, Garrison Keillor on NPR. Yeah. It was, in a way, a variety show. They would do skits and stories and tell a few jokes, and then they'd have a band do something. And, a variety show is, I think, still a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Because of that presence, because people pick up on whatever that essence is when it's live. Yeah. It doesn't sound plastic. It doesn't feel cold. It feels welcoming and interesting and engaging in a different way. And I don't know what that essence is, other than just the presence of people being together doing this thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember clearly, like, Casey Kasem, listening to that on the weekends, and Larry King. So those are things that, they're, I want to say they're things that stay with you forever, but it's not recyclable radio like some of these companies are doing now. It's, it's things that you want to go back to and listen to again. And I was listening to some of the recordings from Casey Kasem back from, I guess, 1987, how he read those letters. And yeah. And I spent about maybe a couple of hours listening to him, I don't know about, listening to stuff that we do now, back maybe in 20 years, people are going to be listening to,
maybe podcasts.
For sure, podcasts. Yeah. But anything that's on the radio playing right now, it's difficult because, are we creating that nostalgia? It's we did create it back in the 80s and
Right.
90s. Now, are we creating it for the future? I'm not sure.
That's a really good point, I think, because the kind of presentations and shows that we're talking about right now, you literally are creating something, moments in your own history that you'll want to go back to.
Yeah.
And that's the essence of nostalgia, right? And when you think about what's being produced now, what's available now online and so forth, I mean, how much of that is that way?
Yeah.
I mean, do you put it in a folder and then not see it for the ever?
It's and I was thinking of that because me and my son were having a conversation. I had a YouTube channel playing back commercials like TV spots from like the 80s, and I was just looking at, listening. I was like, I remember that that takes me back, that Toys R Us commercial on Christmas, that Coca-Cola commercial with Michael Jackson, or what's it, Pepsi, or and I was like, wow, that those TV commercials had impact on us. I wonder if like my kids are gonna remember whatever they're seeing now, that's produced now, 20 or 30 years from now. And I say, you know what? Let me see if I can remember something that made an impact on me, recently. And I think the only ones that really made an impact on me were like the beer commercials, that sing, what's it? Real American, the Real American Hero, or something like that. And that was, hey, you, beer drinker or whatever. I think, and that was back like in the early 2000s, and I go, wow, I can't remember anything recently that I would say, that stayed with me.
It's hard to get the same impact because the mounting of those commercials, those spots online is so diverse. You have to be in that channel, subscribe to this to be able to experience that. And I don't know if there's a regular way to just kind of get into a new algorithmic set on your feeds so that you have a chance to just explore outside of the algorithm and discover those things like the Alka-Seltzer commercials back in the 70s or something like that. There's a lot of amazing stuff that's being produced, but I think sometimes it's harder to find.
Yeah, it is. And the other thing is that it's filtered through so many
targeting layers.
Yes, it's and even the final spot is filtered through a lot of I guess research groups, and this is not going to work. This is you got to take this off and put that. And I think back then there was a lot of creative freedom to say that's the way it's going to go, because first of all, you can't film it again because you got to go through another set of film. You got to get the actors
reshoots.
Reshoots. So it was expensive. Now it's like, well, it's all digital. Just delete, create a new one. Put together. So I think people took a lot of and even in music, they took a lot of creative freedom back then, and now it's more. Well, let's see what the research says, and we'll go by.
How do we create that hit?
Yeah, how do you create that hit? We have to run it through all these sort of filters, and then you get this.
Yeah, that's kind of backwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
The hit should be after the fact that you wanted to be very personally and meaningfully expressive.
Yeah.
I don't think most people that do art think that way. I mean, you might want to be well known, but you don't create something to be a hit as an artist. That's definitely a more corporate type of mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of one of the big challenges of any kind of digital or analog presentation now or platform is what's the motivating part of this?
Yeah.
Is it to create more income? Is it to promote the people that we want to market for, or is it demonstrating a discovery pathway for people to find something really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we got to find the right balance for the right balance, and I working for helping out small stations, they have a lot of more freedom. They got less money, but they got more freedom, and I think that's
why we are so free at KXIQ.
It's sort of a blessing in disguise, because given that limited amount of funding, sometimes gives you, you got to come up with creative ways to enhance programming, to do what do recordings, to like you do your podcasts. So out of that, there's certainly that the way that programming is put on the market, it's going to be different from what everybody else is doing, because you're not using the same corporate recipe and
we don't have the same restrictions. Either.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of for me, that's a good thing. It's it's kind of like the artist that shows up in the bar with just his guitar and puts the jar on the bottom and starts singing. I go, wow, this guy is great, And you listen to somebody on the radio with a hit, and you're like, didn't I just hear that same song 3 days ago, but with a different voice, the same beat, same everything so processed that we end up getting the same thing, just different versions of it. But
and what about, even with all of these changes and all of these different factors exerting pressures on radio broadcasting, what do you look forward to when you turn on the radio or go to some place to help them do what they do better?
Yeah, usually when I get to a place that is asking for help, sometimes it's places that have been neglected for a long time, and that's different story. So we can, technical wise, we can help them out as much as we can. But once in a while, there's a place that comes in that needs basically new ideas, new ways to do things more efficiently. And of course, new ways to bring in income. So that's where, I try to learn as much as I can from other places where I've been. Hey, this guy is doing this station is doing this way, and it worked. And in that recipe, sort of, I don't want to say I copy it, but I build upon it. You make it your own. It's not a cookie cutter type of deal. You can implement in different places, but you have to, move it around. And it's no secret. Most stations do about 60-70% the same, all the way. The programming is done the same way. Your traffic, your music is scheduled the same way. But it's, it's the people and the imagination and how they put it together and they do it. So, but every single station is different, there's stations that do all day, talk radio, and you can't really use what a music station is doing. So, but
it's a different product, and you're going to get a different type of market and a set of strategies to go along with it.
Yeah, and I put together, my ideas, what I think would work, and hey, I show them how to do it, and that's you take it from there. I show you how to fish, and you actually go and fish. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean it's and that's what keeps it exciting. Every single market station has a different challenge, and we try to help them out as best we can with what we have and what they have. Their budget, their technical expertise, their staff, and it's exciting because, like I say, I learn, they learn. So it's doing this install here, I learned a lot. You guys learned a lot, and some of these technology implementations we did here, we did them in other places, and we built upon these, and we improved it when we got here, and it's always a learning process. So it's never the same. I'm not gonna do the same thing I did here anywhere else,
Yeah.
and vice versa. But it's exciting, and it's fulfilling. So for me.
Yeah. So is there a specific story that you have helping out a radio station? I can tell from the way you describe that's one of the most satisfying parts of your experience is if you can go in and help somebody do what they're doing better to improve the whole process for the station and the listeners, and the creativity of it. The way you describe it, it's like you could have been describing a theater group. Especially as you look at the people driving it and their creativity as being the engine for everything. Is there a particular place that you're in recent memory very satisfied as to where they've gone?
Yeah, there was a cluster of stations in El Paso about maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and they needed some help. They're reducing their space. They had I think it was 6,000 or 7,000 square foot of studios. The stations were opened in the 60s, so they had a lot of old equipment, and they have a lot of space in a lot of studios that they were using, and they had reduced their staff, and they had reduced also the amount of work and the amount of programming they were doing locally. So they used to syndicate a lot of shows. They were down from, I don't know, 5 or 6 shows to maybe 1 or 2. So in order to save money, they were trying to reduce the space they were using. So I went in there and I did an analysis of what they were doing, what they were trying to do, and how I can best help them. And what we ended up doing was they had a budget. We replaced some of the equipment that they were using with more modern equipment, more efficient, and equipment that can be used as in multiple functions, as a recording studio, as an on-air studio, and as a production studio. What ended up happening was I think they had 6 production studios, which was a lot.
Wow.
They had 6, and of course you talk to the production guy. He needs all of them, right?
Of course.
You talk to the general manager. Oh no, he just uses one. So we kind of like I say, okay, let's get together a list and see how much production you're doing in a week, how many production people you have, what are their hours, and let's set up a schedule and see how everything's working. So we ended up saying we only need two production rooms instead of the 6. So, but they also wanted. He says, well, we also need these for backup so we can go on the air if this on-air room needs maintenance. I go, okay, well, we'll figure that out. We ended up doing is with this new equipment, we can change the path from being a production to being an on-air studio, which is programming it properly with a push of a button. So we made these 2 studios being able to run anything in there, run on-air, run production, run recording, whatever they wanted, just with the push of a button. So if a DJ wanted to put a station on the air from that particular production room, all he would have to do is push a button, and I think there was 4 or 5 different stations on there. So each button would interrupt the one on the air and put that one on the air.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And if they wanted to do a sports sort of live, they can do that. We made it a sports, we made it a production room, and with one push of a button, it would change the profile on the console and add all these new sources and add a different route to send the audio to. If it was a station in another city, it would do that. If it needed to dial up a connection, it would do that automatically. So we made those 2 studios, and we tore down the other 4 studios, which was a lot of real estate that they were gonna save.
Right.
So they were real happy about that because they were able to accomplish what I went for, which was to reduce the amount of studios they needed, and they had different equipment in each studio. So they had to learn
different systems.
So if they had somebody new come in, they would have so how do I do this in this studio? Because the way I do it in that other one is different.
There's
not anymore.
Big lag in engineering capacity for everything.
Not anymore, because the 2 studios look exactly the same. That were there. So everything was the same. Everything was in the same spot. The procedures to do the things that they needed to do was the same. So it was for them. It was like, wow, it's amazing that you were able to do exactly. I go, yeah. The only thing I couldn't replicate was the position of the desk, because they were positioned differently, but everything else was the same. It was a copy. So I go, you just train on this one, and you go to the next studio, it's going to be the
and with the press of a button, it becomes a totally different system for that particular purpose. It's the same equipment, it's the same process, but the resources are different. The channel itself is different. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and I told him, look, and if you ever need help, about 90% we can do it remotely. We can log in. If you ever need to change something, we can log in and change it, which before you would have to go in there and rewire, punch cables, take cables out, write cables. We didn't have to do any of that anymore. So they were real happy, and their studios, I think maybe a couple of years ago, they called me because they needed something. And I go, hey, do you mind me sending me a picture? He says, yeah, I'll send you a picture. And they were exactly the same. He says, we don't let anybody touch this. So it's been working. I go, well, how have you been working all this time? And no, he says, no, we haven't had a need to move anything. It's
sheer luck.
Yeah.
That's how they've been operating.
Yeah, it was set up the way I left it, and it's just, except for the computer, we replaced it, but all we had to do is just disconnect the computer and connect the new one.
There you go.
That was it.
Yeah.
And but everything's been working perfectly, and we have no need to change anything.
Perfect.
So the wiring, everything was the same, and I go, well, there you go. It says, and the previous time when we went in there, the wiring was just spaghetti. It was just all over.
Oh yeah.
It was just 40 years of wiring.
Oh man.
So, but I go, well, it might be time to go out there and take a look at it. It says, yeah, we'll bring you in. Hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, but when we have to, they were going to move from that location again. So.
Oh yeah, everything has to change.
Yeah.
When that happens, and so if somebody wants to take advantage of your expertise and get some help for their radio broadcast, where can they contact you?
Yeah, I have the usual, the email address and the phone number, and I'm usually around in the valley. So since I enjoy this quite a bit, it's usually what do you need, and if I can help you over the phone, I'll help you over the phone. No, it's not a big deal. If it's a big project, of course we got to go in and take a look at it and see what's required and how best we can help you. And I say we because it's not usually myself. It's a couple of other people that I use that help and have the experience to do the work. Of course, you can always call the radio station, and you guys also, I'm here. I haven't been here quite a bit, but I'm usually here, once in a while, and come and check on you guys and see if everything's working properly.
Yeah.
And I always enjoy it because I always come here and you guys always have something new to talk about, and
usually an emergency. But.
Yeah, no, but like your past, your broadcast, your podcast guests.
Right.
You have a lot of interesting people, and I always enjoy coming here and seeing
present
the
company
art.
included.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I always enjoy talking to both of you and learning and coming and seeing the great city of Brownsville and eating here. Even though we're really close, you guys I think have an edge over McAllen and Edinburgh on the food.
That might be true because
yes,
there's some really great places here in Brownsville that I enjoy. Probably too much.
Yeah, no, and I say local places because we have the franchises over there and stuff, but the food here is, what? I've brought my wife over and we have plenty of Mexican food over there, and I brought my wife over just to have dinner here.
Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that.
So,
do you have a website that people can log on to?
I don't have a website, but social media. The Facebook it's called Mazter Productions, which is part of my production company that I also have that I do live production We do staging. We do live audio mixing. We do video. So it's in social media. You can find that at Mazter Production. Mazter with a Z.
Oh, Mazter with a Z.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we'll put that up on the screen for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you,
Jorge
Michael.
Garza.
Thank you,
Thank
Michael.
you so much for all the work that you do for this unique and magical kind of platform for radio, even though that we do take advantage of video as well. Wish you all the best and continued great success, and thanks for all the work you've done for us.
Thank you, Michael, and I hope you continue to do this because this is extremely important to our culture here to keep this going. So anything I can do, you know, I'm here. So
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
This is Michael Quantz with the Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts, here to tell you about our podcast, Brownsville Matters. Everyone in Brownsville has a story to tell, and these are the stories. We broadcast these stories every Friday at 5 p.m. and every Sunday at 3 p.m. on KXIQ 105.1 FM on your radio dial. You can also catch these stories rebroadcast on our YouTube channel for Brownsville Society for the Performing Arts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and smash the notifications if you want more information about these stories that you watch and listen to.